Did you know that during the mid-1860s, a painting like this was controversial? Museums would not exhibit such works of art because it was too shocking for its time. Hard to believe, right? This form of art is called Impressionism, and we will explore how a new and radical way of painting resulted in the first modern movement in art. Up until the late 1860s, conservative paintings that depicted good principles and taught moral lessons were the most appreciated. These types of paintings were known as neoclassical and romantic art, and usually contained historical, religious, or mythological subjects with theatrical compositions. Colors used were mainly deep and rich, with lots of dark shadows. Nature was not the focus, but mainly just a backdrop for the story. Brush strokes were carefully applied so that the finished result was smooth, without any evidence of the artist's brushwork. However, a small group of French artists began turning away from that type of fine finish and detail. Instead, they started exploring new ways to capture light. To achieve this effect, these artists moved out of their studios and into the streets and countryside. This technique of painting outdoors, instead of in secluded studios, became known by the French phrase en plein air, which meant open and full air. It is still used today to describe the act of painting outdoors, where a painter reproduces the actual visual conditions seen at the time of the painting. Rather than painting historical, religious, or mythological subjects, these brave artists began to paint scenes that were more current and depicted everyday life and public leisure. They experimented with composition by framing and cropping their subjects off-center and off-focus. Color was more vibrant and light, sometimes mixed directly on the canvas. Nature was brought to the forefront. It became a subject worth painting. Unlike the academic traditional artists, they focused on the optical effects of light to convey the passage of time and changes in weather, therefore, painting natural landscapes as they saw them and without exaggeration. Brush strokes used were short, quick, and spontaneous. This was because the artists were more concerned with conveying the movement and changing nature of a passing moment and capturing the fleeting light. They abandoned the concern for a meticulous, smooth finish. The best way for artists to get recognized and become successful at that time was to have their paintings exhibited at Le Salon. Le Salon was a prestigious art show held in Paris every year that was sanctioned by the French government. It had great power over the careers of artists. If your artwork had the privilege of being displayed at Le Salon, it usually meant you would have a lucrative career. The jury at Le Salon scorned and rejected the new works, finding them shocking, unfinished, and insulting. Such rejected artists included Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Berthe Morisot, Paul Cézanne, Edgar Degas, Camille Pissarro, and Alfred Sisley. These artists became frustrated because they could not afford to wait for France to accept their work. They all had experienced rejection by the Salon jury in recent years. They needed to show and sell their work. As a result, they all united together in 1874 and mounted the very first independent group exhibition. Although the exhibition received limited public attention, it was the first important step for Impressionism. Not all reviews were negative. There were some critics that did notice their fresh approach to painting and praised them. Private collectors and art dealers, such as Paul Durand-Ruel, came forward and not only bought the work, but promoted them in Paris and abroad. Slowly but surely, a new movement in art had begun. By the third independent exhibition in 1877, this new style of painting came to be known as Impressionism. The term Impressionist was first used by the French art critic Louis Leroy in 1874. He used the word Impressionist to insult and ridicule Claude Monet's painting, which was called Impression Sunrise. Leroy found the term fitting to describe what he saw as a loose, undefined, and unfinished style. However, the sarcastic title appealed to both the artists and the public, and the name stuck. Although the Impressionists were a very diverse group of artists with different backgrounds and painting styles, they all shared the same thing: the desire to accurately represent existing familiar sights with brilliant light and color. They came together because of their dissatisfaction with the Salon system and the type of art it was showing. They all dared to break away from traditional rules of subject matter, technique, and composition and created their own unique style. As a result, they changed the very nature of the way people think about art. Thanks to that small group of radical artists for having the courage to strive and to push forward in what they believe in, we are able to admire and enjoy such works of very fine art we call Impressionism today.
Moi, je crois que la peinture et le dessin, c'est la même chose. Le dessin est une peinture faite avec des moyens réduits. Sur une surface blanche, une feuille de papier, avec une plume et de l'encre, on peut pas...
The Impressionists promoted artistic freedom. Their example empowered later artists like Van Gogh, who took it much further than they did. Art continues to expand and will still continue to grow and break limits that will fascinate people for years to come.